Okay, let's unpack this. We are taking a deep dive into El Trade today. Specifically, the official roster, the Convocatoria,
Uh-huh.
the one announced by Javier Aguirre for this final FIFA window of November 2025.
Yeah. And look, this isn't just a list of names, is it? It feels more like Aguirre's strategic blueprint for the next phase,
Yeah,
heading towards the 2026 World Cup.
exactly.
It's a roster that, well, it tells a very specific story. We've looked at the sources covering the 26 players, and what really jumps out is um, this list feels born out of necessity, partly
Mm,
because of injuries.
right.
But it's also executed with some real strategic thinking behind it. It's a bit of a calculated gamble, mixing seasoned guys with some, frankly, shockingly raw new talent. High potential, though.
Absolutely. So our mission today is really to get past just the names and try to grasp Aguirre's strategy here. We need to figure out the thinking behind these choices, especially those, surprise names, the rookies getting thrown into the deep end, and understand how they might actually define the team's future shape. It feels like strategy mixed with some serious, immediate performance pressure.
And that pressure is built right into the schedule, isn't it?
Hmm.
These aren't just throwaway games. They're like crucial litmus tests.
Mm,
The team faces Uruguay Saturday, November 15th in Torreon.
tough match.
Yeah, and then they quickly head to San Antonio, Texas for Paraguay on the 18th. Uruguay brings that disciplined, top-tier international tactical game, and Paraguay.
While they're always a relentless physical challenge, these two teams will absolutely expose any weakness in a squad that's, let's face it, this experimental. Okay, let's dive into maybe the most exciting part first, this new talent tsunami, as some are calling it. Aguirre seems to be signaling a pretty radical acceleration of youth development here. Who's really shaking up the senior squad? Because some of these names feel like, well, potentially big risks.
Well, what's fascinating, I think, is the courage Aguirre is showing. He's integrating players based pretty much purely on their domestic form, right? Regardless of senior team experience. The biggest surprise, the one getting all the headlines, is Armando Hormiga Gonzalez.
The Ant, the striker from Chivas.
Yes, he's being called the revelation of the tournament. And crucially, he's right in the thick of the fight for top goal scorer, the Campeonato de Goleo, in the Apertura 2025.
Wow. And this is his first call-up ever?
First one. And what's strategic is Aguirre isn't waiting for him to, win the title or finish the season. He's grabbing him while he's hot, right in the middle of this run.
But hang on, isn't that a massive risk? I mean, we're talking about a player performing lights out domestically, sure, but throwing him against, say, Uruguay's defense in a key FIFA window, is that confidence? Or maybe a bit of desperation for goals?
It's probably both, right? And that's the strategic trade-off. It's an immediate test of what you might call unproven pressure translation. Can that Liga MX success translate immediately to the international stage? Aguirre's betting that Gonzalez's current momentum, his hunger, outweighs the lack of experience. He basically needs to know right now if Hormiga can handle this pace.
Okay. And it's not just the Chivas striker, is it? We're seeing a pretty swift promotion for some key U20 graduates. They seem to be bypassing the usual kind of slow ramp up.
Exactly. Look at Obed Vargas and Jorge Ruvalcaba. Vargas, especially, was apparently exceptional in the recent U20 World Cup. He isn't being eased in. He's making the immediate jump to the senior team environment. And this signals, I think, a fundamental shift in Aguirre's process. He's actively rewarding that immediate, proven international performance at youth level. Shine for the U20s, you skip the line. Simple as that.
That's a really clear message for the pipeline. Okay, now, amidst all this youth focus, there's one crucial return. Someone coming back who seems to provide the strategic framework for the whole midfield. The sources really highlight Gilberto Mora's importance.
Yeah, Moore's inclusion is maybe the most important foundational piece in this whole experimental roster. He's just recovered, after several weeks of physical and medical work. But Aguirre sees him as fundamental. Think about it. If you introduce completely raw strikers like Hormiga and accelerate youth like Vargas, that midfield foundation, it needs to be ironclad.
So why Mora specifically? What's the quality he brings that's so vital right now?
It's his unique ability to provide equilibrium and, critically, to facilitate the ball exit. Getting the ball moving forward cleanly, he's like the strategic safety net, masking potential instability further up the pitch. When you have young players maybe trying high-risk moves in the final third, Mora helps ensure possession is recycled efficiently, that the team isn't immediately caught on the counter. He's kind of the manager's insurance policy for the creative chaos he's trying to encourage up front.
Right, okay. So that's the exciting forward-looking part. But we have to connect this influx, this growth opportunity, to the major issues Aguirre actually faced putting this list together.
Yeah.
The sources mentioned Batalo. He really struggled because of a significant, unavoidable wave of injuries.
Yeah, this creates what you might call forced rotation. And the key absences, they were substantial. They hit major attacking pillars. We're missing Santiago Jimenez.
Big loss.
Alexis Vega, Julian Quinones, and Chino Huerta, too.
Wow. Those four, they aren't just high-caliber attackers. They represent a huge chunk of established, recognized international firepower. Their absence is what genuinely forces the door open for these young guys, doesn't it? But it must put immense, maybe unnatural pressure on the new faces at the same time.
It absolutely does. It means Gonzalez isn't just like a nice addition. He's suddenly a necessity, almost. But, while injuries are bad luck, there was one omission that was purely strategic, symbolic even, one that seems to confirm a definitive turning point for the 2026 cycle. The veteran goalkeeper, Guillermo Ochoa.
Ochoa, left out again. This feels like more than just tactics, right? Is this the official end of an era for that position? What was the rationale given in the sources?
Well, the source comments that he hasn't stood out at his current club in Cyprus. But let's be honest. This decision feels far bigger than just recent club form. This looks like Aguirre consciously closing the door on that undisputed veteran presence. He's sending an undeniable message. The goalkeeper competition for 2026. It's officially wide open. And the established legend, well, he's not currently part of that picture.
That is a massive symbolic shift. It must resonate through the whole team structure. And it really validates the keepers who were selected, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It solidifies the foundation Aguirre seems to be building. The three keepers kept on from the previous two call-ups are Luis Angel Malagon, Raul Rangel, and Carlos Azevedo. By consistently picking this trio, Aguirre is saying loud and clear the continuity and internal competition among this younger generation. That's the priority now, regardless of Ochoa's legendary status overseas.
Okay, let's maybe zoom out a bit then. Look at how Aguirre is handling this unique moment, this forced rotation, combined with the strategic youth integration. The core strategy seems to be this careful balance, right? Established experience meets high projection youth.
Yeah, and if you connect this to the bigger picture, it shows Aguirre's building in layers, I think. He needs the veterans. He needs them to insulate the new talent from, the inevitable mistakes and the sheer pressure of international football.
So who are these anchors, and what specific role are they playing now that the team is so kind of top-heavy with rookies?
Well, the experience base provides stability, leadership. Particularly in maybe less glamorous roles. Edson Alvarez in midfield, he's irreplaceable right now. He gives that structural discipline you need when younger players are taking risks. And you got Orbelin Pineda, Diego Luinez, Irving Lozano. They provide known offensive threats, reliable quantities. And Raul Jimenez up front, he's that reference point. The experienced finisher the young strikers can learn from, even if he doesn't play every single minute.
So they're not just there to play minutes, they're there to mentor and, structurally protect the youth.
Precisely. And then you have the next generation, the ones who've already shown promise. They remain firmly in the squad because they're clearly seen as foundational pieces moving forward. Guys like Fidel Ambriz, Eric Sanchez, Mateo Chavez, Marcel Ruiz. These are the young players who basically earned the right to consistent exposure at this level.
Right. And this is where we fit in the rest of the 26-man squad details, not just as a list, but as, functional parts of this structure Aguirre's building.
Exactly. Look at the defensive core. Cesar Montes, Johan Vasquez, Israel Reyes, Kevin Alvarez, Jesus Orozco. Stability here is absolutely paramount. Their main job in this window isn't just winning. It's protecting a potentially nervous young midfield and, of course, that new-look goalkeeping setup. They're the defensive wall allowing the offense to experiment.
Makes sense. And the midfield group rounding things out. Eric Lira, Alexis Gutierrez, Roberto Alvarado, Luis Romo.
Yeah, these are the players offering flexible depth. They can step into Mora's role maybe or link up with the veterans. They provide tactical options depending on whether Aguirre needs to counter Uruguay's control or match Paraguay's intensity.
Gotcha. And up front, Germain Berterame joins Jimenez and Lozano.
Right. And Berterame's inclusion alongside Hormiga Gonzalez is quite critical, actually, because he represents a slightly more established Liga MX presence. He can kind of bridge the gap between the veteran Jimenez and the brand new talent.
Okay, so let's try and tie this all together. What's the overarching strategic implication here? This roster seems less about the immediate results of two friendlies
Definitely.
and entirely about building long-term velocity for 2026.
Absolutely. That mixture, the high projection youth with the established core, it points to a really clear strategy by Greer. He's solidifying the foundational team structure while integrating this high-performing domestic talent ahead of the World Cup cycle. He's almost weaponizing the injury list, isn't he? Turning necessity into opportunity. Using these friendlies as high-stakes, accelerated auditions.
So the core takeaway for you, the listener, has to be that this roster is fundamentally about testing which of these Liga MX revelations, the guys lighting up the domestic scene, like Hormiga Gonzalez, like Obed Vargas, which ones can truly afianzar, establish themselves in the senior national team process right now.
Yeah, it's a test of temperament as much as skill, really.
Mm.
These domestic league stars are getting their moment, and the absence of guys like Jimenez just magnifies the pressure tenfold. If they perform well against Uruguay and Paraguay, they don't just earn another call-up. They could drastically accelerate their timeline towards having a major role in the World Cup buildup.
So this list really is the blueprint for the immediate evolution of El Trier. It's a statement about aggressively investing in the future, even if it means, benching national icons.
Exactly. Yeah. And that leads us to the final question, doesn't it? The one we're left with. Given that Aguirre is actively integrating all this new talent while making that bold symbolic move of sidelining a veteran like Ochoa, how significant is the pressure now on these young players, on Vargas, on Hormiga Gonzalez? Pressure not just to play, but to perform immediately, to seize this chance.
Yeah.
The managers clearly bet on them. But what happens to the whole strategy if that bet doesn't quite pay off against tough international competition? That's what we'll all be watching very closely come November 15th.